Hey everybody, welcome to Live Coding with Jesse. I'm Jesse, and today we're going to be working with some React components. If you were with us yesterday, you know that we upgraded to the latest version of Material UI, so it's version 1.2.0. We had a lot of breaking changes that we had to deal with, and now we're going to go through and we're going to edit some components to adjust to some of the things that changed. So they weren't exactly breaking. We're not getting errors in the console anymore, but the styles are a little bit off now. So we're going to change some things up and see how far we get with that. I'm thinking maybe an hour for the stream, hour and a half, depending on how many questions there are. And let me check the stream health quickly. Let me know if the stream's okay. It was showing that the stream health was not good, which is really weird because everything else is showing up as okay. So yeah, just let me know if everyone can see and hear me all right, and then if so, we will get started. I'm gonna get the code ready on my other screen and then switch over. Alright, cool. Looks like there are no problems going on. Thank you, Teresa and Nikki. Okay, let's switch over. Alright, so here's the code. If you are working on this project locally, if you have a fork or something like that of the repo, if you have any issues when you pull in the latest changes, delete your node modules and then run yarn again. So I had to do that because I had some issues and that fixed everything. So that's generally a good thing to try when you're having some weird issues and you're not sure why. If it works, it'll save you a lot of time, and if it doesn't work, then you've wasted maybe a minute or two depending on how fast your computer is. Charbel says, don't start now, no one is here yet. Alright, well there is one thing I want to fill you in on, so I guess I can stall for another minute or so. I don't want to wait too long. I interviewed another potential student worker today, and he seemed really interested in working on some of the data cleanup. So I'm hoping now that I have like 2 or 3 student workers that should be able to start sometime like in the next 2 weeks. So I'm gonna stop with a lot of the data cleanup that I've been doing that's been taking up most of my time, and I'm gonna shift into dealing a lot more with the actual React side of things, and maybe even start in on doing some testing using Lighthouse to try to get the site like really fast and get that accessibility score up as high as I can. So it may not affect the streams that much, except that there'll probably be more getting done on the React side of things between streams. And hey everybody, see Rohit's here saying hi. Okay, so yeah, we gained about 5 more people in the last minute or so. So I think we're gonna get started. It's still a little bit lower than normal, but I think it's cool to get started. So it's like we have 15 viewers, which is definitely way lower than normal, but I mean, when I started, I would have 1 viewer, so I'm fine with streaming without very many people. Okay, so we do have our code up here. Just in case you didn't get to watch the last stream, this has changed, and this is a big change. So we now have Material UI. And I'm going to probably remove this code mod at some point. This was to help with migration, but I couldn't get it to work. So we have at Material UI Core and at Material UI Icons, and this has replaced the other Material UI packages. So we've updated to the latest stable version, and we're going to continue with the stable version. This makes me more comfortable as we approach going live, that we're no longer on the beta, like latest release track. So I was fine with that when we were developing. But it's nice that we can switch to the stable here before we launch. All right, so and the biggest changes have just been around this, where we've had to adjust to a lot of like the changes to the API. All right, so let me pull over on this screen. Let me. There we go. I thought we already had some local hosts open. I'll get rid of this. We'll just wait for this to load. There we go. And let me start my Pomodoro timer. So I'm going to code now for about 25 minutes, and then I'll get back to the live chat and answer some questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, but I won't get to them for about 25 minutes. If you can't stick around for that, you can always watch. That's weird. Let me refresh that. There we go. Okay, that was kind of an odd glitch. Okay, so here's the first problem that I'd like to deal with right now. This may end up being just a CSS thing, so we may not. We'll see how much we have to change for this. But since we updated, this is happening, and I don't want this to be an oval. It's supposed to be a circle. I was able to narrow down exactly why it's happening. Basically, once the window width gets wide enough, the height of this element, which is a button, goes to 70 pixels, but the width remains at, I believe, 48 pixels. So then when we have the border radius of 50%, it becomes an oval instead of a circle. So what I think we can do, I think we're going to use a little bit of Flexbox to vertically align this, and then we can change the height. So just to kind of demonstrate why we need to do it like that and why we can't just change the height right away, is that, let's verify that it's still an oval. No, it's a circle, so I need to make this. Let me shift this over. There we go. Now we have the oval. Let me make this bigger so y'all can see. One more. There we go. Okay, so let's select this button div, and I really want, you know what, let me move this down. There we go. And then let me move me up. There we go. Now you should be able to see this. Hopefully it's not too small. Let me know if it is. And so let's put the hover on all the time. So we're going to activate this hover state here. And so that'll stay hovered up here. And let's zoom in so we can see. If I bring the height back down to where it is, it obviously fixes it, but now this is no longer centered. It's up at the top, and I think it looks a lot nicer when it's centered there. So, I mean, what we could do potentially is just like kind of manually set, hey, let's make it this many pixels from the top, right? We could do that and then use the same media query for that, or we could just try to vertically align it within its container. So I think the better solution, which will work even if we end up changing the height of the container. Sorry if you hear my stomach growling. I haven't eaten very much yet. So I didn't plan well, and I didn't bring food, and I didn't have time to go get food. So anyway, like I'd rather do the Flexbox vertical centering, because that will be better if we change things later on. So let's check out the code. It looks like we have, interesting. All right, so we do have a margin up here on the header. Okay, let's give us some more space here. This actually might be a little bit more difficult because our containing div does not go all the way up to the top. We have this margin here, or is that padding? I think it's padding. Yeah, the green is padding. All right, let's see how it looks. I don't think it's going to work, but I think it's worth a shot. If not, we may have to go to my alternate solution. Okay. All right, so here's what I'm... Oh, it's already display flex. Wonderful. Let's see if we can use align self. Let's see what we get. Okay, so if we center it, see, this is what I was afraid of. We're centering it, and we're centering it based on a div that stops here. So if we were to, let's say, get rid of this padding top, the centering works. And you know what? I think we can get rid of that padding on the top. Let's shift the screen down just to make sure that it still looks okay. I think it looks fine without the padding. And if we need to add anything, we can deal with that at some point. We can just change the height. But I think that works. So we need to go in to the components or the CSS files that are attached to components. We need to add a line. Let's go back down here. We need to add align self center, and then we also need to take that padding, that top padding, off of the header. And I think that should fix it. All right, so let's go to our code now and fix this. So it should be, let me close this. It should be in our layout. Let's check layout first. See if that gives us that header component. And let's shrink this a bit. There we go. Maybe not. Okay, so we have the footer. We have the app. Oh, okay. Is it app bar? Yeah, it should be an app bar. Let's check this out. Alright, so let's check out the classes now on app bar. We have them up here. So we're doing some inline, and if I'm going too fast, please feel free to ask questions. I'll definitely go back and slow down a bit. So we have these styles that are JavaScript, but they look like CSS, and they're right here in our component, which is nice because we have one place where we can edit everything. It's very modular. We could use this component elsewhere, and the styles will all stay the same. But in this case, you could see we have our app bar, which acts as a class, right? And then we have this padding top. So let's just get rid of that. And then we'll have what we need. We'll have 1/2 of what we need. So we've gotten rid of that padding on the top. And then let's, this menu button, this is where we've switched up the height here and set a new height at that breakpoint. But we're just going to remove that. So that way we no longer have that change of height on that element. And then we're also going to add that align self, we need the camel case here, because if we were to put that hyphen in JavaScript, it's going to interpret that as like a math operator, right? It's going to say it's a minus sign. We don't want that. But then we can put in quotation marks. We can say center. And this should give us what we want, in case I missed something. So we're going to save that, go back, and I'm going to refresh so it just gets rid of everything that we've done in DevTools. Oops, and I just realized that my image over on the other side, my video, may have been blocking things. Let me check. Oh no, I think it was okay. I don't think I blocked anything. But anyway, now all that is gotten rid of, and we could see, hey, it looks fine. It looks centered, and it's still it's a circle and no longer an oval. Let's verify that it still works on a smaller screen. Yep, it works. We haven't messed anything up. Excellent. And I think we ended up with a little bit less code than what we started with, which is awesome. It's always a good thing. All right, great. So that's the first thing fixed, and I'm just going to go ahead through the process of committing this change. So let's do a git status, right? And I'm going to move my image back down here for now. So we can see we've changed that components, that @bar.js component. We've edited that. That's what we wanted to add. So we're going to do a git add, and we'll put a dot. That just adds everything. If we had only wanted to add a specific, file or set of files, we could list them out there. But I just usually use the dot by default, because most of the time I do want to commit everything that's there. So now that's ready to be committed, and I'm going to do yarn CM. For our particular project, we have a little automated thing set up to help us make a good commit message. But if you don't have that set up in your project, which most projects don't, you could just type in git commit with the M flag and type in your commit message, and that'll do the same thing. So what we've done is we fixed the bug, okay, and I'm going to write a little description and fix, let's say, menu button, let's see, menu button hover is not, menu button hover, let me think how I'm make always circular. Okay, that works. That really was what we set out to do, right? I don't think this affects any open issues. No, it doesn't. Okay. Now it's going to run through auto formatting everything based on our ESLint rules, and it's going to run our unit tests and our end-to-end tests, and if everything passes, then it will commit. And we're passing, but we do have some warnings, so that may be the next thing that we fix, because those warnings are ugly. We want to get rid of them. Let me know. On my screen, it looks like the video and audio are out of sync. Let me know if it looks like that to you all. All right, great. So this all worked. Now I can do a git push, and that will now be available at the GitHub repo that's linked in the description. Okay, great. Usually, if you're committing things, if you're using Git to track or any version control system, you want to commit often, okay? Because each time you commit, it's like a save point, right? That you can always go back to. So if you wait too long to commit, you might reach a point where something messes up, and if you had to revert, you'd lose a lot of your work. So if it only takes a minute or less to commit, but it could potentially save you a lot of time. Oh, okay, so it looks like some of you are seeing a delay and some of you aren't. All right, the delay's getting better now. It still looks like it's a little bit off, but it's definitely better than it was. Okay. I'm not gonna worry about it now then, because it's pretty close. It was off. I wonder if it was just off when I was running through all those tests. Um, anyway, I'm gonna check my timer. Okay, we got about 10 minutes. So if you've asked any questions in the chat, in about 10 minutes I will get to those. We're gonna move on now, and let's deal with these errors. So I'm gonna pull this up just so we can see them, and let's pull this to the side for a second. Alright, so I like to go, whenever you get error messages, I find it's helpful to go all the way up to the top, because often the top error message is usually easier to comprehend, and that'll get you to the root of the problem. Sometimes if you fix that, the later messages go away. I'm sorry, it's a warning message, not an error. So that's where we're going to start. So it says a failed prop type. The prop on open is marked as required in swipeable drawer, but its value is undefined. Okay, so if you remember yesterday, we switched over to that swipeable drawer component, but we evidently didn't put the on open prop. So I didn't realize that that was required. So let's do that now. So this should be in our drawer component. So let's close this out, and I can close this out. Yeah, I don't need to save that. We've gone through that already. So let's go to our components folder, and we're going to go to drawer.js. And we'll scroll down here to where we have that swipeable drawer. You see we have on close, but we don't have on open. So I'm not sure. Let's just try to put toggle drawer in here as what's going to happen. I don't know if that'll mess it up, but we'll see. Maybe it'll make our errors go away the next time. So definitely want to test this though. Okay. Alright, everything looks fine. Looks like it's working. Let me refresh just to verify that our changes are there. It should auto refresh, but doesn't hurt to be sure. Okay, looks like everything's working. So let's just run our tests. And which tests were this? These were our end-to-end tests. Let me see. Let's check our package.json and see what command will run our tests. End-to-end. I think those were end-to-end tests. So let's go with E to E. So let's run yarn E to E to run our tests again and see if we get any errors. If we get different errors, I'm okay with that. Alright, wonderful. You know what, let's run our unit test as well, just to be sure. Alright, right, great. So it looks like all our tests passed. Oh, there we go. Did we get some? I guess I didn't notice those. Oh, but we are getting different warnings. So those warnings that we had before are not there. So we did fix that. The keyboard focus provided to the class's property is not implemented in button base. You can only override one of the following. Root disabled, focus visible. Alright, let's search for this keyboard focus throughout our whole project and find out where it's at, because we're not getting, yeah, it's not telling us where that is. We can try to look at our console here and see if we get a message. We are getting a message, but it doesn't tell us where it's at either. So let's go back into our code, and we're going to go here, and this is Visual Studio Code. So if we click on that magnifying glass icon, then we can search throughout our entire project. So let's do that. Alright, so in our inverted button component, we have this keyboard focused. Okay. Alright, this makes sense now. Let's go to that inverted button component. Oops. Okay, I was a little bit afraid this would happen. So a while ago, we wanted to create a different type of button. So we went into Node Modules and we found the code for button that was being used by Material UI. So we took all that code, we copied and pasted it and modified it directly and created this inverted button component. What I was worried about was that the changes would break it. It didn't break it, but we are getting warnings. So let's see what we need to do then. Keyboard focused. Alright, so it's saying keyboard focused, we're going to do shadow. Focus visible. Alright, maybe maybe we'll change it to focus visible and see if that works. So let's go with focus visible, and let's make sure this is the only place where we've used it, and it looks like yes. These other places won't really matter, they're just the names of classes we created. We could have named them anything. Alright, so I'm going to save that. If this is the only thing that I need to change for this still to work, I'm going to be surprised. But let's run through. And which tests were these? Wow, these came from our unit tests. All right, so let's rerun our unit tests. See what we get now. We could just check the console, refresh the page, but this way we can stay on the same screen. There we go. So now we've fixed that. So you see we run yarn unit, and you know it's definitely the tests that are making the audio and video out of sync. I just looked over briefly, and I could see it was out of sync. Okay, cool. So it looks like this works. We can also verify over here. Cool. So we're no longer getting that warning here either. We could check the buttons. Yep, the buttons, they're working. All these buttons are, let's see if they're using, no, these aren't using, these ones are using the inverted button. Cool. Alright, so that works. Let's see. Alright, so I was just clicking just to see if we'd get anything happen when I clicked, and no, nothing happened when we click or hover, so I think that's good. Let's do a get add. My timer is almost up, so this will be the last thing we do before I go to the questions. And add currency in. Alright, so let's do another fix. And what was the first thing that we did? Let's just say fix. Warnings. From so I'm going to say address warnings in console from Material UI update. Alright. This does affect an open issue. I believe I created an issue for this, so let's go over to our repo and check this issue. So this is our repo open already to an old issue that's already fixed. And this is the swipeable drawer error that we'd like to fix, and that is issue 125. So we're going to go back over here, and we'll say, yes, it does affect an open issue, and then we'll add a reference to issue 125, right? And we'll press enter. Now it'll run through everything. It all should work, and then we'll push that up to GitHub. So I'm going to set my timer now for 5 minutes, and I'll answer questions for the next 5 minutes. Let me get my, there we go. I couldn't see the chat for a second. I'm going to scroll all the way up to the top, so whoever asks the questions first, your questions will be answered first, if I can answer. David asks, what are the prerequisites before watching the stream? Anybody can watch the stream, and if you don't know what's happening, just ask questions. I'll do my best to explain, but really, to get the most out of this stream, it would be helpful if you had some knowledge of HTML, CSS, JavaScript. If you really want to get a lot out of this stream, if you have knowledge of React, that would also be helpful. So I like to make this as beginner friendly as possible, so I think depending on where you're at, in terms of your experience level, you will get different things out of this stream. Hopefully everybody can get something out of it, but that's going to change. So just know that no matter where you're at, if you ever get confused, just ask. I'd be happy to go back over something that I had done and explain it in a little bit more detail. And yeah. In certain streams are different. Some streams we just work with CSS. Some streams we work with SQL. Some streams we work with WordPress. So, there are some streams where we do really basic stuff, and some where we do more complicated things. So it kind of just depends on what we're doing as well, in terms of like what background will help you the most. All right, I'm going to do a git push. There we go. Let's go back to the chat. And Scrubs I guess that's how I'm pronouncing that. Says, I'd suggest watching at any level. It's good to see how things are done by other devs. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. I think that's a good thing that, even if you don't exactly understand what's going on the screen in terms of the code, it may be helpful just to see the process. Or, just to hear the opinions of the other devs in the chat as well. There's a lot of knowledge there. Julio says use git integrated for git add and git and commit basic commands. I've never done that before. I'll maybe have to check that out. Nikki says use Control B to toggle that sidebar menu on and off. Control B? Okay, I'll have to check that out. Let me try it right now. Alright, it's not working. No. Alright, it's not working for me. Let me see what... there we go. You know what? I have the Atom keyboard shortcut set up, so it's actually for me on a Mac Command and then I don't know, the slash that also has the pipe operator above the pipe key. I can't ever remember what's a forward and what's a backslash. But anyway, that's why mine may be a bit different. I always forget to use that. Julio says, is a good idea React for a single page app, or better I go with Angular? It really depends on what you're more comfortable with and if there's some specific feature of Angular or React that you would like. React works great as a single page app, and actually even further as a progressive web app. So if you use create React app, it'll be really fast. It'll set you up to have a progressive web app pretty much right off the bat. I don't know enough about Angular to really make a recommendation for it though. Hopeway, I'm not, it's Hopewe, says, hey Jesse, amazing stuff you've got here. May I ask you what exactly does the JSON syntax do? I mean, how are the commands defined and everything? Oh, okay, so this package JSON file, it's for using npm node package manager to basically, it's just a set of descriptions, and it tracks all the packages that your project uses, so that if somebody else wants to work on it, they can download all the code without having to download all the node modules, but then they have a record of which node modules are used, and so they can just install those, and npm will automatically, it'll just read this, it'll know what to install, and you can get working. And then in this scripts part of it, you can just define kind of like little shortcuts to use. So you can type in like npm dev, and it'll do all this stuff. So instead of typing all this out, you just make this little shortcut, dev, and then it'll run. And you can make whatever you want for all your shortcuts. So I guess that's kind of a really quick overview, but hopefully that helps a little bit. Okay. My timer went up again, so I'm going to go do some more code. There's only one more question left, though. So it says, Priyanka asks, which is better, Atom, Sublime, or Visual Studio? I've never used Sublime. I do like Atom, but I have switched over to Visual Studio. It seems a bit quicker, so I definitely like it, but I can't say anything about Sublime because I've never used it, though. But I think you'd be fine going with any of them. They're gonna work well. Okay. All right. Let's go back. Let's set this Pomodoro timer, and let's see. We can see now that this is referenced. Okay, so that commit we just made is referenced here. I'm going to close the issue because it's been fixed. And if anybody checks out that issue, they'll be able to see like this addressed it, and they can go check out how we fixed it. Yeah. All right, let's go back. And, oh, okay, here's another thing. So when we updated, the padding around grid items was taken away. So you can see here all these buttons are actually encased in the grid components. So we need to put back some padding and add them in here. So let's check that out. Let's go to our component. So we have this hero component. Let's take out drawer here. And take this out too, just to make some space. There we go, hero. So hero is where we have these buttons. So we've set up so that these buttons are actually like constants, and we move them in, and they're optional. So this is where the actual code is for the buttons. So the primary button is the one on the top, and then we have the two lower buttons here as our secondary and tertiary buttons. And then you can see, depending on what props are passed into the hero component, we will display, a certain number of buttons. So what we want to do though is, for these grid items, we want to have some spacing. So let's try to put, I'm not exactly sure which part of the grid the spacing needs to go on. So let's try to put it on that top grid container, and let's go spacing, and we'll say equals, let's try 16 at first. Okay, so we're going to give it a value of 16 and see what happens. Usually in material design, the values are like 8 or 16 for padding is almost always what you get. Hey, there we go. Alright, so that ended up being an easy fix. So basically what happened between the older version of Material UI and this newer version is that they used to have, by default, I believe it was a spacing of 16, so it's like 16 pixels. But it was messing some things up, so they decided to go with a default of no spacing, and then if you want spacing, you put it in. So that definitely makes sense, but if you were counting on that spacing before and now it's not there, it messes it up. But see, now we have our spacing back. This looks pretty much exactly like it did before, as far as I can remember. Awesome, that was an easy fix. Great. And so let's go with, I don't think I had an issue open for this yet, but I guess it's worth it to check. Yeah, nothing for that open. So I'm going to take my own advice about git commits, and we're going to commit often. I've been a little bit lazy about committing lately, and I've just been making huge commits where I basically work all day and then commit at the end. And that's not a good idea. I almost ruined a lot of work on my presentation for the talk that I gave over the weekend, which if you check out my YouTube channel, you can watch the talk if you'd like. But my presentation, I almost lost everything because I didn't commit. And so now I'm going to try to commit more often. It's one of those things that you always know you should do, but sometimes you just get lazy with it. So let's do a git status. It's always nice to do a git status just to verify what you've done has actually been done, and you haven't inadvertently changed a file that you didn't realize that you changed. So we'll do a git add yarn cm and let's say fix, and I'm just going to do hero button spacing. Alright, and that should all pass through all the tests. I mean, we've really only changed such a small amount. It should be fine. And while that's going, let's go back in here and see what else we have going on. I know of one other issue that we could work on, but while we're on this page, we may as well check. These look fine. There's actually something I've been meaning to do as well. Like right now, we have these cards, and they're YouTube videos, and you click them, they play automatically, which is really nice. But I don't like loading the YouTube videos on the home page because it actually slows down the load time. So I would like to come up with some sort of solution where we could still have a very similar functionality, but not have to actually load the YouTube video. So I'm okay with some sort of lazy loading, or perhaps we don't actually load it until this is clicked on. So we could kind of make our own play button. When you click it, then it auto plays the video. It loads and auto plays. There'll be a little bit more delay when you're actually trying to play the video, but many users may not even try to click the video. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes, but I don't want to remove all the videos because I think it's nice to have them right there, but we got to do something so that we don't mess up our load times trying to load in all that iframe stuff for the videos. Alright, so I'd like to go to the English faculty page. See. Oh no. Oh, you know what? Our snapshot failed because it changed. So when we're doing our unit tests, it automatically makes snapshots, and we didn't update our snapshot after we ran that. So let's go ahead and update that snapshot now. Okay, great. So now that we've done that, we can go back and run this yarn CM with the retry flag. So now it should just go back and it should work this time. We'll check in on it in a second. Ooh. Okay, so we actually have a problem here. Alright, it says 2 lowercase is undefined. Alright, see if we can figure out where this issue is. What is this? The faculty list pages? I think I know what the problem is. Did we get an error again? It's still showing the error with that test. Alright, for some reason our snapshot didn't update. So what we can do to fix that is go into our snapshots and check out. We can see that this snapshot is the one that's not working. We can delete the snapshot and then run this again, and it should create the snapshot properly this time. So let's try that, and while that's running, let's go to that page where we're getting the error, and that's the faculty list page. Be sure if you have to go in and delete your unit snapshot that you actually delete the snapshot and not the unit test itself. They have the same name except for this .snapshot at the end. So I've done this multiple times where I've accidentally deleted the entire unit test, and that's kind of like it's a pain. I can just go into GitHub and copy and paste the unit test. I guess I could go into the trash or recycle bin and restore, but it is just kind of a pain. So we can see that worked now. So it created a new snapshot, and occasionally I have to do that. It's pretty rare though. All right, so let's see what else has changed. So we do want to commit that snapshot, so we're going to do a git add as well before we run this urncm retry. So if we just would have run the urncm retry without committing that snapshot, then what could happen is somebody who's trying to pull that that update would then get the same error that we just did with our snapshots, right? So we want to make sure we commit them both. All right, so that's there. We push that to GitHub. Now in this faculty list, here's what I think is happening. Let's see if it's the case. I think maybe our imports we're not importing things properly, or potentially something that we're like below in the child components maybe is not being imported properly. So first we're going to check here in the faculty list, and I'm just going to glance through this and see. I'm looking for anything that we're importing from Material UI. List styles, grid. Okay, so it's not here, so I'm guessing it's in this faculty list item component. So let's grab that component. We'll shut our test folder. So let's check the faculty list item component, and here we go. I think this is our issue. So in the latest version of Material UI, we don't import things all together in one line like this. We would import them all separately. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab these, and I'm going to copy and paste these, and let's get rid of these and get rid of these. And for this one, we're just going to grab the card, right? And then for this one, we're going to grab card actions. And then for this one, we're going to say card content. And then now we can say actions content. All right, so that was pretty quick, and it looks like we're not actually even using cards, so let's get rid of that. We can tell from this squiggly line it's going to say that it's defined and never used, so let's get rid of that. But now we can see that instead of importing all these together from card, the file card, we're going to import card actions from card actions. We're going to import card content from card content. So they're all separated out now. Let's make sure we're not doing the same thing. No, it looks good. So let's save that, and if I was right, which I'm not very often, but if I was right, then the error should be gone. So let's check it out. Yay, error is gone. All right, cool. The only reason that I was able to figure that out so quickly is because we dealt with, or at least I yesterday before I streamed, spent a long time dealing with very similar errors. So it was still fresh in my mind, and I knew what that meant. If I had probably gotten that error, a week later, I may not have remembered it. All right, so now that's great. We fixed that error. So we probably should commit that, but what I really wanted to show you all is this. We have this iframe that's coming through, and we're seeing the code and not the actual iframe. So we need to check out, see what's going on here. Why is the video not displaying, and why are we getting the code there? What I suspect is that I'm not bringing in the content like as HTML. So we'll check in that. This will be our faculty.js component in the pages folder. So we'll check that in just a second. But let's commit our fix that we did here. Git status. Let's do a git add and a yarn cm. And let's say it a fix. And we're going to fix fix imports. We're going to fix nope. There we go. So it may be worthwhile to go and check all the imports and all of our components. I thought I had already taken care of them all. Evidently I didn't. So while it's still fresh in my mind, that might be a good thing to do. I don't know if I'll do that on the stream. It's just going to be kind of repetitive and probably not very educational. All right, wonderful. Git push. All right. So let's get this out of here, and let's get this out of here. We've already done our work there, and let's find that faculty.js. Where we at? There's our page. Oh, here's all our pages. So faculty.js page, and here we go. So we're in our render method here, and interesting. Okay. Let me check that again. Let's look up what the markup actually is here. Video embed. Oh, I see. Interesting. All right, so here's what's happening. This is being brought in with quotation marks around it. Let's go over to our WordPress installation and see what data is there. I want to see where those quotation marks are being added in. So we'll go to wp.franciscan.university. This is where our WordPress installation is right now. Great. I was already logged in, so that's awesome. And we need to find faculty. So we're going to go in here to faculty and let's find our English faculty. English. There we go. Alright, so there we go. That's it. So in our actual code, we have these quotation marks. I think, no we don't. Why is it like this? Alright, let's do some editing of the code here and see if we can get the video to appear properly. Okay. Alright, so I'm hoping that this will make it work. Now, unfortunately, what I'll have to do is maybe get somebody in here to, like a student worker, to manually make these changes. Or we could come up with some way to change that programmatically within our component. Now that I will have some students working on this, I'm a little bit more open to manually editing this data. Okay, let's go back here and refresh. See what we get. Interesting. Alright. Oh, I see. Alright, check this out. Within our component, we're searching for anything with this source attribute, and we're replacing it, and we're adding this, we're prepending this franciscan.edu. We need to do this for images, but we don't want to do this for iframes. So this is going to be interesting. Let me know what you all think. Yeah, let me see. Okay, so here's our problem, and I'd like your advice on the solution here. So the problem is we do need to replace we need to prepend a URL onto these source attributes for images. But we don't want to do that for iframes. So what would be the best way to do that? I'm thinking maybe a regular expression, but this is going to be another instance where my regular expression skills are not good enough to make this happen without some research. All right, let me look and see what you all think. John Hanson says do a ternary, true, do this, use video element. John Hanson says yes, regex needed. Yeah, you know what, maybe trying to think about how to create the issue so that it'll make sense. I'll have to think about how to explain this in an issue. I'll make the issue. If anybody's good with regex and wants to try it out, feel free. Otherwise, at least I will remember what the issue is, and then I can spend some time researching regular expressions to see how I could fix this problem. I don't really want to do research on the stream. It's just not very exciting watching me read things. I wonder if we can take what we're doing with this CV link and just adapt it. Actually, let's do it. It's worth a try. Let's just edit this. See if we can get it to work. Okay, so instead of CV link, what we're looking for then is iframe. And instead of href, we're just looking for That's what we're looking for. So maybe we can get rid of this. And we don't need this. Alright, now we just need to need to change this. Iframe regex. Alright, well, the problem though is we still have that replace happening. You know what, maybe we'll have to yeah, we're gonna have to do another regular expression for where we're getting the image thing. And actually, my timer just went up, so let me take a break and go back to the chat, answer some more questions, and then let me know what you all want. If you think the stream's already gone on long enough, we'll stop here. Or if you really want to see if we can fix this, then I'll extend it a bit longer, and we'll see if we can fix it. Oh, okay. Nikki made a good point earlier when we were talking about different editors. So it's saying Visual Studio does not equal Visual Studio Code. So yeah, I think a lot of times we're just kind of talking, you shorten it and say Visual Studio instead of Visual Studio Code. I like to say VS Code. It just seems faster. But yeah, Visual Studio is a much bigger program, much more powerful, but overkill for what we do. VS Code is very similar to things like Atom or Sublime. It's built with Electron. So, yeah, definitely a different thing. Priyanka says, could you please tell me how to get an internship after 2 years of my graduation? Is it possible? I tell you the truth, I'm not sure. I've never, pursued an internship, but there are internship opportunities out there. If I were gonna look for internship opportunities, after graduating, I would, to be honest with you, I'd do a Google search first. I'm guessing that you've already done that, so I'm sorry, that's probably not very helpful, but I don't have experience with that. If anybody else has experience with getting internships after you've already been in college, please let Priyanka know. Mad Duchess says, does it work to add the snapshots and unit tests into another folder for easier management, or does that affect performance? I mean, I guess you could add them into another folder. I don't know if it would hurt the performance. Oh, okay, sorry. Nikki. Alright, now I see what you're saying. Okay, sorry. So, yeah, we do have the tests separated out. So we have our test folder, and then within the test folder we have the snapshots folder. So they are separated like that. But the problem is, like, when you have them both open, or like if I have it closed and I just go in and say, like, all right, I'm going to remove my snapshot, sometimes I accidentally remove the wrong one. It happens. Nikki asked what the Google Doodle for today is. Michael says it's Dr. Virginia Apgar's 109th birthday. Cool. I don't know who Dr. Virginia Apgar is, but maybe I should know. Let's check it out. Oh, cool. Is Apgar like the score they give babies? I think it is. Now it's coming back to me. Since I've had four kids, it should know this. Cool. Yeah, I'll have to find out more about that. Okay, yeah, it is the Apgar test. Cool for babies. Okay, so Carlos is saying in regard to the regular expression stuff. He said maybe adapt another constant as like CV regex, but for the videos. Okay, so that's what we're doing. And pull it on the replace method. Charbel Sarkis says, how do you select the same occurrence of the text twice and edit it at the same time? Replace after it. Do a replace after the last replace. If the regex doesn't match, nothing is going to change. Okay. Let's see. Hmm. Yeah, I don't think. All right. Well, let's just do this and see if what I think is gonna happen will happen. Which is, we're not gonna. It's not gonna do what we want it to do. But let's give it a shot. So we're gonna have the iframe here, and then let me grab. Let's grab this. And then what we'll want to do is for this source, we're going to put in H2, or I'm sorry, not H2, because we're going to want, yeah, whatever's after that, and then here. Okay. We actually yeah, I can bring this down even further. Okay. It's still going to be the second one. Okay. And just to make sure this is going all right, let's just add that in so we'll know if it worked. refresh. And let's see. Okay, it looks like it did not work. So our replace here did not work. Maybe that messed it up. Try it again. Oh, that didn't work either. All right, let's add in. Alright, it's not gonna work tonight. Closing tag. Alright, still not working. Alright, let me see. Okay, John Hansen says you may be able to write the ternary into the same argument where you replace the URL for the university since it's already finding that. Julio's asking about IIS on 2018. I'm not sure what you're asking. We're not using IIS. Okay. Let's check this out. Okay, so we're trying to find the source here. The problem with putting the ternary in here is that I'm not grabbing anything other than that SRC. So there's nothing for me to say like if, I mean, maybe yeah, I'm not sure about the ternary. I think it would have to be a regex thing again. That like we're grabbing the source but we're not going to grab it if it has the word YouTube in it or something like that. I wonder. What if we can do this? I wonder if that'll work. Ah, no. What did I do? Alright, this works, but unfortunately it'll get rid of anything in that image tag. Alright, let me get rid of this then. And we'll get rid of this. Alright, let me explain what I just did. So instead of just looking for the source attribute, I said like, okay, I'm gonna look for, image with source attribute, which works, but it'll also rewrite like if there were other attributes. So let's check it out and see if there even were other attributes. In this case, no, there weren't. Alt list. The alt attribute was missing. Actually, you know what? I think there's a better way to do this and still keep our alt attributes or whatever attributes we have. So let's do this. We're going to make a const and we're going to say this is the image regex, and let's create. We're going to get rid of this CV link stuff. And we're going to get rid of it here. We're going to replace this A tag with image and image href. So that's going to be all the stuff inside the href, and then actually we're not going to have an ending image tag, right? No, we won't. What we'll have then is just this. We're not going to need this. So this will be our href, and then this will be all the other attributes at the end. So then we go down here and we can say we're going to replace this all with, get rid of CV link, get rid of CV link. Let's add in our image, or add in our image tag. We'll replace this href with a source. The second section there is what we want for our source, and then we're not going to add in our other stuff here. Instead, we're going to put in, we're just going to grab whatever else is there, which would be 4. So we're going to say this is going to be 4. And then we don't want any of this. We want that. And then we can remove, oops, almost forgot that. So we want to combine this in here. Hopefully that space won't mess it up. Yeah, let's leave it like that. Okay. Alright, and we will get rid of this for now. Or let's just comment it out for now. Okay. Now let's see if that works. No. Alright, what did we get though? Image source. Okay, not too bad. We didn't get exactly what we wanted though, but or maybe we didn't get anything. Maybe it didn't work at all. You know what? It didn't work because we looked for the wrong thing. Oh, someone noticed there's an extra. Okay. Yep. Good look, Nikki. Dang. It's not working. I'm messing up something in this regular expression for the image, so it's not actually getting. Oops. SRC. All right, let's try it now. Yes. All right, so we get image source. That works. And then it also has the alt. Yes. All right, awesome. So that worked. Okay, cool. The only thing I'm thinking that maybe might not work exactly right is if in the markup they've put a lot of attributes before the source. In that case, it's not that it won't work, it's just that those attributes might not actually get added in at the end. But for now, this works and it does preserve anything after, which is definitely better than what we had before. And our videos now work. So that's pretty awesome. I think it's awesome. Alright. John said, you made it look so easy. I don't know how I just did that. Sometimes, like, you know what? You just get this light bulb in a moment where it's like, oh, I have it. Occasionally that happens. I think I just got like in the zone, and it just, my brain was just working. I don't even know why, because I'm starving right now. I was about to give up because I was just so hungry, and I was thinking like I can't even think. But all right, I guess I'm okay under pressure then. Carlos says, yay, don't know what you did, but awesome, good coding. All right, cool. Yeah, so let me take just a second to explain what I did as best I can, and then I'll finish up any questions you have, and we'll end the stream. Okay, so here's what I did basically. So we quit using this. So let me just get rid of that, right? So we made this regular expression, which all it's doing is just searching for something, right? So this whole constant is just a search, and we've just given it certain parameters so that it searches for and finds exactly what we want. So what I'm searching for is this particular string, which is right the beginning of an image tag, but I want to find the image tag that also has a source equals in it with a what am I thinking for? With a quotation mark, right? With a double quote at the beginning, right? So assuming it finds that, then what it's going to do is it's going to save whatever comes between the first quote and the second quote as a variable, and we're going to be able to access that variable by using $2, right? That's the second thing in there. I'm not sure if this is proper regex terminology, but this is how I'm understanding it from JavaScript world, okay? So now everything that's in that source attribute gets saved for us, and then everything after the source attribute but before the ending tag in the image tag will get saved as this other variable that we're going to be able to access as $4 because it's the 1, 2, 3, 4th set of parentheses here. Then basically we're finding that ending to this, and so all together with this regular expression we're getting an entire image tag. And this is going to say we want to search globally, I believe, so correct me if I'm wrong with this. So this is global, so we're going to find every occurrence of this, not just the first occurrence. And then we want it to be case insensitive. So just in case, somebody decides to make the image tag capitalized, it still should work. Right? Now, when we go down here, we're getting all that content that we're grabbing from WordPress. So everything that we see here, we're getting all that content, and then we're replacing parts of it. So once we get down to this replace, we're going to search. So the first parameter of that replace is a search for that regular expression. So we're searching for any of those image tags, right? But then we want to replace that entire image tag with the second parameter. And so the second parameter is an image tag, but we're adding in this franciscan.edu URL because that's where that image lives, right? So in order to grab the image, we need that. And then we're just adding in whatever was in there originally, right? That $2. And then we're just tacking on any other attributes like an alt tag or a title tag that may have been a part of that image. And then we're closing our image tag. Right, so basically it's a find and replace, but we're just doing some fancy stuff with the find. Does that make sense? Nikki says, go to another one of those pages. Is the iframe also enclosed by quotes there? Oh, you know what? That's a good idea. We did manually edit some of that so that the iframe was enclosed in quotes. Yeah, so potentially we could programmatically do that. I'm gonna just kind of stop with that now, and then I'll look through a few other ones and see if we come upon that issue again. I'll either manually change it or I'll add another one of these regular expressions for that particular scenario where we have the iframe within quotations. So yeah, but you're right, that may be an issue. Mad Duchess says, thanks for making regex less scary and breaking it down for us. Yeah, no problem. It's still scary for me. When I need it to work, that's the only time I use it, I guess. And really, we had a pull request that gave us this. I didn't come up with this. But then after seeing this example, I was able to understand what it did, and then was able to do this based on that. So when it comes to regular expressions, I think that's the best. If I see an example, I can usually edit it, right? But if I try to come up with a regular expression completely on my own, it's rough. It's really hard. So maybe that's a good way to approach regular expressions. Try to find something that's doing something similar to what you want, and then maybe make a few edits. could be a nice shortcut to get to where you need to go. All right. I may as well start the process of committing this change while I'm doing questions. So let's get started. Git status. Yep. Git add yarn cm. Fix. So what are you going to fix? Frame video on faculty pages. Yep. There we go. That's cool. That's definitely something I didn't think I'd be able to fix during the stream. So while that's doing its thing, let me finish up with some of these questions, and then I might leave and get something to eat. I might finish up my workday from home because I'm so hungry. And it's so tough when you're on a diet. You can't just like find whatever and just scavenge it, you know? Although I tell you what, like right now it's taking a lot of my willpower to not just eat like whatever the next thing is edible that I can find. Michael Creel says, you have 4 kids and don't know the APGAR test? Once I saw the baby in the thing, like it kind of like refreshed my memory about APGAR. But well, my youngest is 1.5 years old now, so it's been 1.5 years since I've probably even heard that. And to be honest with you, when my youngest was born, my wife had a lot of problems and had to have a lot of doctor's appointments and surgeries. So I like took a lot of time off of work and drove her around all her stuff and took care of the kids. So that's kind of like all a blur. And so I was much less worried about Cordelia, my youngest, than I was about my wife. So anyway, that's probably why I don't remember. See. Someone asked about my Visual Studio Code theme, and Nikki says it is SETI. So yeah, SETI is the theme that I'm using. I've been using this for years and years. Like even back when I started with Atom, which was I don't know, like at least 4 years ago, I think it was. I was started using Atom like really early on, so not too long after it was first came out. So I've been using this theme forever. Michael Creel says, is the Ahref search hard-coded? Because not all CV links start with the Ahref. That was messing with me. Let me think. You know what? I haven't really tested this a lot to make sure it works everywhere. But it should work. So if it doesn't necessarily have to start with Ahref. I believe that as long as Ahref is contained somewhere, it will still work. I think that's what this period is doing in here, but I'm not 100% sure. That was just my assumption. Otherwise, we could have just taken this period out and left a space in it, and it would work. Okay. Yeah, that's it. So there were no other questions there in the chat. Thank you all so much for hanging in here with me for so long. Oh, okay. Also asking about the font. It's the Fira font for Visual Studio Code. So Fira. So search for that font for Visual Studio Code, and should be able to get that. It has the it does cool stuff. Like so when you do an arrow function, it combines it right? So it does some stuff like that. All right, so I'm gonna end the stream and get something to eat before I fall over here. And yeah, what's tomorrow? Is it Friday already? Wow, this week has just gone so quickly. Anyway, yeah, I'll try to do a stream tomorrow, and not sure what we'll be working on. We'll see. Maybe we'll find some more problems and fix those tomorrow. But thanks again for watching, and until tomorrow, have a wonderful day.